So, a very good evening to all who have joined. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome today Roopa Venkatakrishnan. She needs no introduction. All of us very well know her. So, she we are very happy to welcome you today to this webinar of ours to IFA Galaxy. And she's among the a brief introduction, small one for those of us who are new to hear from her. For her, now she's among the most popular, high-profile, and successful advisors in Mumbai. She's a founder, director, and honorable secretary of FIFA, and she's always been a bundle of energy. All of us can look upon, can take strength from. So now today we have a topic on how to think big as an IFA, the challenges and the opportunities. That's the topic for today's evening. So a little more about Roopa. We have spent our entire career advising the people, finances, and the IFAs also. And she's an award-winning professional. She turned into an entrepreneur in 2003. And since then, she has been creating wealth for her clients across all sections of economic status. Her main key she takes pride. That's the key role she would like to play. That's what I've heard a lot about in all her speeches. And Rupa's key objective has been to broad-base the financial literacy, not only to the educated, but also to the less privileged and the economically weaker sections of the society. That is a very good initiative, which even we all can take this from, inspire from. So for that, she does a lot of activities, like in the Mumbai housing boards. She conducts weekends financial awareness session for the weaker sections of the society, and stress them to actually do through SIPs to create wealth. Not only that, even the government schemes and initiatives, how they can get good from that. That awareness also she creates to them to mainly to open the accounts. Now during this COVID times, all of them would have thanked her a lot, because they would have received all the subsidies promptly with the bank accounts, which she had earlier initiated for them to do that. So that's all about Roopa. And today's session, we are going to talk about how to think big. How do we become a big, there are this crisis, this is a time we have very low emotions, and so we would like to hear it from you, Roopa. How do we overcome all this, and the opportunities that is lying ahead in spite of the challenges? We would hear it from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shobna. Thank you for introducing me. Thank you. I'm humbled, and thank you so much, Babu, Srinivas, for giving me this opportunity to connect with everyone. I hope all my IFA friends are safe and their families are safe and doing well. These are times where I think in the last 2 months, everyone would have bonded with the family much more than that we did in the last, I don't think in the last 20, 25 years of our life. Also, I think for me, I have stayed in my entire life. I've never stayed 2 months at home. I think when I delivered my son also, I was just there at home for one month or one month and a half. So it's been 2 months for me, and it's been like in my whole life career. But I don't pray that I want to be like this the rest of my life. I never want to be there for 2 months at home. But having said that, I think I like to briefly say about my journey. Shobha did say I started in 2003 on my own. And the basic reason why I started before that, I was working. I worked around before that around 14 years in NBFCs, and in NBFCs interacting with investors. I worked with different departments, from high purchase leasing to open and fixed deposits, PMSs. I've experienced everything before that. So when I started my journey in 2003, the only thing that I believed and I wanted to do is do good to people. Okay. I was very passionate, and I believe and I'm committed to see that I make a difference into people's life by bringing in financial stability. I think these times like this, exactly proves that you are here to create wealth and financial stability for clients when you have these crises which have set in, where your incomes are uncertain, your life is uncertain, your job is uncertain. I think what we bring on the table is that financial stability to the clients, and these are times where we need to highlight ourselves, go and talk to people that how important we are in their lives, or how important we can bring their life to a better safer, comfortable lifestyle that we can bring into their life. uh, the basic belief and the ability to do good to my clients is what is why I will be in this business, or I will be in this practice, irrespective of fact that whatever kind of challenges, I think each challenges have given me new lessons. I am still learning. I was there in 2002 when the 2001, when September 11th, when the Twin Tower crashed. I know after that how much pain it was. I was there in 2003 when the market started moving up. People remember only 2008 after that, but during that period between 2003 and 2008, there were 4 other instances where the market corrected 20-25%. And that was also a painful period. Even after 2008, we saw 2013, and we saw 2015-16 also. I think these are all journeys, and these are all documented journeys we had. I think when I started in 2001, 2002, there was no journey, there was no story, there was nothing available. But today everything is available, to the journey of an SIP book, to a journey of wealth creation and equity, to a journey of equities, to a journey of debt funds. I think there's so much available, saying that the only thing I personally feel all of us lack, we don't make stories. I think it's high time we start building stories. I think what sells is stories. And I think that is something which is a learning that I have done in the last 2 months, saying that I used to talk in the last 15-20 years with my clients and talk about wealth creation, money. But I think somewhere I lacked in creating stories. I am going to build those stories. My clients who've been there in the last 20 years, 15 years, 18 years with me, I'm going to build a story for them. And in the next 6 months, I am just going to go and tell my existing clients how have these stories evolved and how is their family evolved over a period of time. I think those are stories which I want to build. And I think that's a learning for me over the last 2 months of building stories. I think, but the most important thing which I still call my clients and convey is my belief system and my philosophy to say that long-term investments and about wealth creation, irrespective of the fact that the market volatility happens, the market prices happen. I think volatility is temporary, growth is permanent. I think that's the most important thing that we need to know. And there are cycles which have been proved in 2001, 2002, 2003. There have been cycles between 2008 to 2011. I think these are all cycles and stories for us to go and believe, saying that volatility is temporary and growth is permanent and wealth does get created. I think the most important thing, like for example, I'll tell you an example. Yesterday, a client called me and he said, Roopa, why don't you do some tactical things for me? Okay, there is somebody who has come and he has done some tactical calls and he has given me better returns in the last 6 months. So I heard him and I said, sir, I believe, yes, that's true, saying that there are guys who can do tactical calls. But please understand, my philosophy doesn't go with him. My philosophy is to invest, stay invested, asset allocation, in debt, in equities, and I stick to my philosophy of creating wealth. I said, I am not here to say that I will take your 100 rupees and make 120 rupees and come and tell you saying that I have done a great job and I'm giving you 20 rupees. And I also told him, I said, I don't like to come every 6 months and say that I have outperformed the Nifty or I have outperformed XYZ. I said, I am not going to do that. For me, the most important thing is if you are giving me 100 rupees, I want to see that this 100 rupees becomes a lakh of rupees in the next 25, 30 years. That's the journey that I want to be. And that's the part of the journey I want with you. So please, if you tell me saying that there are guys who are doing, maybe, but it doesn't suit me. I can't fit into that frame. I think it's very, very important to be very candid with you. And after talking to him, you know what did the client say? He says, I appreciate your thought. I understand your thought, and I understood what you are, where you're coming from. I respect that. I think the most important thing the clients say, but I think we need to communicate what are our strengths, what are our beliefs, and what is that we want to bring onto the table. Correct? So I am very, very clear about what I want to bring in. And this time, I can tell you my journey. I have lost a lot of assets. I have no regrets. Okay. There are clients who have said that I don't want to be there. They've redeemed from equities. They've redeemed from liquid. They've redeemed from, and say, I want the money into the bank account. I have not stopped them. I have not stopped them for the reason because I understand saying that the circumstances are different at this point of time. People are emotionally disturbed because you are sitting in one room in your house and you are only watching the television, and there is no and your WhatsApp, which gives you all the information, and there's so much of negative news which is floating saying that the client is not able to understand, he's not able to grasp, he's not able to take any decision. The only thing that is there within him is fear. That will I have a job? Will I have will I be able to pay my EMIs? Will I be able to take care of my children? Will I be able to take care of my wife, my mother, my father? I think there's so much of psychological issues this point of time saying that I said this time I'm not going to stop anyone who wants to believe and say that I want to be in the safer heaven. But when he comes back after 6 months, and I'm sure in the next 6 to 8 months, when he comes back, I am going to put a lot of things into perspective and say that how he needs to do it and what he needs to do as per what I believe. And if he doesn't believe in that philosophy, then I'm going to say no to that client. Because what I realize is saying that unless and until you don't have the thought process about choosing your clients, very difficult saying that you will be able to sustain your practice and your business. Because what happens is it's that philosophical stuff which has to be put in, like long term. You can't have, there are certain distributors and IFAs who are excellent in tactical calls in debt, equity, and everywhere. I don't think I am capable. So I think it's very high time saying that we communicate this to our clients and we choose a client what suits us and what doesn't suit us. Because this time you need to do that. If you don't do it now, I think in the next 8 to 9 years, it will be very difficult for you to sustain yourself. That's what I wanted to share. And that's what is my learning that I have learned. But the most important thing that we need to understand is saying that risk what we perceive. Okay. Risk is something which we are unprepared for. I think the most important thing that we need to tell our clients is saying that risk is something which we are unprepared for. Because we are unprepared for that risk, we need asset allocation. When we tell our clients saying that you need to have contingency money into their accounts, they will never have that contingency money into their accounts. You know why? For the reason they'll say, oh, it's lying in my bank account, it's lying in my liquid fund, it's only earning 5%. But those disciplines have to be set. And I think it's very, very important that we need to set those disciplines into our clients at this point of time. There is important thing that we also need to communicate to a client, and which I do a lot of times, or many of the times I do, is saying that I am going to manage your mutual fund portfolio. And I don't think I am the best in the country, but I can assure you saying that I'm the most trustworthy. and I will give you what best suits you and see that you're financially capable after 10, 15, 20 years. Return wise, I don't promise you to give the best, but I will promise you to see that your portfolios are secured and see that you don't have. And I also tell them saying that I am going to make mistakes over this journey. There are times where I would choose wrong funds, where I choose, because it's a decision that I'm going to take for 10, 15, 20 years. I'm not God. I might take mistakes, and I am going to make mistakes in your portfolio. But if I make a mistake, I'll come and tell you saying that I will uh, come and share and tell you saying that where I have made a mistakes, and I've said sorry. And I have, in the last 15, 20 days, wherever I've made mistakes, I have returned to my clients and said, I'm sorry, this was my perspective and this was my outlook. But yes, I should have been a little more prudent, and I should have taken certain decisions, but I have not been able to take the decisions. And I think it's high time that you need to share, uh, talk it out, or you speak to them and tell them. I think these are times where you have to give them that comfort. And I don't promise any of my clients saying that I am the best in the country or I'll give you the best of the returns, because that's not what I tell them is saying that the most important thing which I can give you in your journey of your wealth creation is consistency, and see that when the market goes up and comes down, your portfolio is not going through a lot of volatility. Uh, Least amount of volatility by cushioning your debt funds, your gold funds, your international funds, your contingency funds, so your equity funds as an asset allocator, and see that your entire portfolio grows on an average return. I think these are the simple things that are very important that we need to convey. That's my experience. And yes, you will have clients who will come and question you. Uh, I think, so if my journey, if you understand me, if I go back and look at my portfolio of my clients, the clients who have been in my journey in the last 18 to 20 years are absolutely fine. They've never called me and questioned me about the market fall. Why? But yes, they do call and say, Roopa, is everything fine? Are you okay? We are here. So that's only a call that they want a comfort from us, but they've never questioned, oh, it's fallen, when will it go back and all. But you will have segments of clients. People who have come in the last 10 years would be the most vulnerable, because they have not seen this kind of a crash. People who have come in the last 2 years will also have those questions. So segment your clients and understand those questions, and say that those segmentations will give you an idea, saying that how are the clients behaving for you to handle. And that's my experience, and that's what I want to share. Shobna, as I said, I would like to take questions of any of my friends here who want to ask me questions, because that would give me understand saying that what is that they exactly want and how we could solve this. Because I can only tell you saying that this 2 months, what we have learned and unlearned is going to be the pillar stone for all of us for the next 10 to 15 years, to build our business, to build our clients, to build our processes, to approach saying that how do we get new clients. Before Shobna, just I wanted to add, I think this 6 months, the next 6 months is going to be one of the biggest advantages for all of us to have approach new clients. I think what happens is these are times where what do you say, you onboard your clients, you communicate with your clients. So how am I doing it? I have got clients who communicated with me in the last 1 year, 6 months, 8 months, where I communicated and they didn't respond back to me. Correct, for any other reason, saying that they would have not invested, or they would have invested through somebody. I've done that database, and I am constantly communicating to them saying that how important is asset allocation. There is a huge opportunity to create wealth in the next 15 to 20 years for you, and we can help you in this journey of creating this wealth. So this next 6 months is going to be an absolutely amazing period to acquire new clients. because what happens is psychologically, when you're keeping on telling him to come and invest and do asset allocation, do look at equities, look at debt, look at SIPs for the next 15, 20 years for creation of wealth, he is going to hear you. He's going to read what you are sending to him. And as the economy opens up, as things starts getting positive, as things starts getting, the numbers starts coming into place in the next 6 to 8 months, what is important is saying that he will relate and say that this gentleman or this lady who came and communicated with me 5 to 6 months back was right. I think that was the time that I should have started, and now I should start. So I think these are times where you can actually have onboarding of new customers. You should have that, you should really work on acquiring new customers. And I think the journey of acquiring new customers in these bad times are the best times, so that they can give you a pillar of foundation for your business for the future. Shobna, I'm ready for open for questions. So in case somebody wants to ask the questions.
First, Srini had asked the question.
Yeah.
How you started and what was your journey till today, making it big? Please apprise your growth. How did you select or acquire your clients then and now?
So I'll tell you, I never have, I even today don't have a website. I don't have, what do you say, any communication. I don't give any online access to any of my clients. As I said, I started with the only belief that I wanted to do good to my investors. So when my journey started, my business is a word of mouth business. Even today, I don't do any marketing. I don't do any IAPs or anything. My business is a word of mouth business, and all of my clients who are there are all because of referral clients. Even today I get referral clients. So my journey and my experience has been saying that in 2003, when I started on my own, that time the atmosphere was absolutely gloom and doom. After the 2000 tech boom fall and 2011, when the Twin Tower fell and the economic activities were very bad, I think in 2003, nobody wanted to invest in mutual funds, neither in equities. There was no data available. There were very few funds, houses which were there. But the belief that equity will add wealth creation was the most important thing. That is my belief, that equity was the asset class that would add value to investors. Also the belief saying that this is what my countrymen and investors need, because they have to be financially independent. They have to create this wealth of journey. And when I initially started, so I'll tell you a brief how I started. I would not have been an entrepreneur if my client had not pushed me into it. Okay. So I was working in an NBFC, and I had certain differences with them because I was not a person who wanted to sell products to wrong people, because my conviction did allow me, my conscience did allow me. So I one day walked off my office and I came back home, and next day morning at 10 o'clock on my landline, I didn't have a mobile those days. 10 o'clock in the morning, landline, a client of mine called me and said, I heard you have quit your job. And I said, yes, I quit. She says, what are you planning to do? And I said, I have no idea what I'm planning to do. So she said, why don't you have a cup of tea with me? And I went to have a cup of tea with her. And then she told me, saying that she spoke to me, and then she said she drew a check of 3 lakhs of rupees and said, here is the 3 lakh of rupees check of investments. You're going to start on your own. Go and So I said, what are you talking? I actually argued with her for 5 hours. And I said, what are you talking, saying that I have to start on my own? I said, I don't have back office experience. I don't have, where am I going to get clients? I don't know anything. You're telling me to start on my own. How am I going to survive? Because my salary was 20,000 rupees then. And I had an EMI. So I said, how am I going to sustain this? I don't think I can do this. And after around arguing with her for 5 hours, and she only said one thing. She got actually agitated and angry, and she said, here's the check, Roopa. I want you to start on your own because we need people like you. We need people who are trustworthy. We need people who are knowledgeable, and we need people like you to help us, help us and the community to see that you can help us create wealth. And that was the first day. I remember it was 5th of February 2003, when I actually, along with the check, went and got empaneled with the AMC, and I started on my own. And the next day when I went to her and asked her, I said, where am I going to get my clients? So she only said one thing. She says, I'll give you 10 references. It's your job to go and convince them. And then after that, it is your journey. And I am sure you're going to be successful. And I think that was my journey. She gave me 10 clients. All those 10 clients are my clients today. And it's been a journey of 18 to 20 years now. And from there, all the referrals started. So the belief that you're going to do good to the client, that vibe, the client gets it when you're sitting in front of the client. I think that is the vibe and the confidence that, obviously, what happens is, I think most of the time we sell products. I think what the client wants is he looks into your eyes and sees, are you confident? Are you first is trustworthy? Are you confident? Are you knowledgeable? And when you sit there and communicate to him clearly what is that you want to do for him or her in his life, I think the client is able to absorb that. Okay, very simple psychologically. Please understand, when some guest comes to your house, okay, let's say that somebody comes and says that I want to for a marriage proposal to your house for your daughter's marriage or son's marriage. I think when the people come in, within 15 minutes to 20 minutes, we come to know saying that, do we need to do we start with the alliance, or do we do the alliance or not do the alliance, right? What do you get there? You get a vibe saying that, how is the family? What is it happening? Will it be good, bad? I think we as human beings are very, very, we have within us to identify what is good and what is bad for us. And I think that sense the customer gets when you're going to go for them. So please, friends, most important thing is knowledge. And that knowledge will bring you confidence to sit in front of the client and talk to him that what you are bringing on the table. And if you are able to do that, I think you are winners all across. And that is all my journey has been. And that's what the belief saying that I am going to do good, and my belief saying that I will be simple, and my communication with my clients has brought to this story. My belief also is saying that I want to make a difference into every human being who comes and touches my life. Because every day morning when I get up, the only spark with what I get up is saying that I'm going to make a difference into somebody's life today by bringing in financial stability. That particular person's is going to make a difference into somebody's family, and that family is going to make a difference into nation building exercise. I think that's the belief that I have every day morning when I get up, on the days when they are bad, on the days when they are good. Please don't think saying that I also don't go through the my mood swings where I am upset, where I am low. I think in the initial period of this lockdown, I was fine, but in the middle, I really became very, very, I went silent. I was thinking about what should we do, what I should not do. And then there came a time where I said, no, I have to pull myself and say that, how do I tackle this? How do I have to come out? I need to do this for my clients. I think somewhere you need to build that strength within you. And Srini, that's my journey so I always think big, because if you don't think big, I don't think you will ever become big. And I think the most important thing is I never fear. For me, fear is something is not there within me. I don't fear. I'm ready to face any challenges, anything. But I know if I am right, and if I'm doing good, and if I'm very clear about what my conscience and everything is true, I am very well sure saying that from here on, my journey is going to be very good. And I personally feel saying that the next 15 years for me is going to be better than the last 15 years.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That was a very good, aptly replied. The next question, there are a lot of questions.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, 1 second, I'm just going through. The next question is...
Rupa, you'll have to do a rapid fire in some form.
Yeah.
Sure, please.
Which asset class your success journey is, Mr. Mohan Ram had asked our treasurer.
My biggest success journey has been asset classes equity, because that's the only thing which will bring wealth, create wealth for my clients more than the inflation to sustain his lifestyle. So my success has been through equities, and I believe in equities. I eat, sleep equities.
Okay.
And next it's from Swati Boundia. Request you, madam, please share what you learned and unlearned during this lockdown.
So what I learned and unlearned is saying that what I learned is saying that the clients, all through my life, I used to tell them about saying that the returns and say that your portfolio will grow by 12, 15, 18%. And one more thing which when I used to talk to clients was saying that, your portfolio will correct by 20%. Okay. At any point of time when there are crises, we could also go to 30%. What I didn't do in this journey was I never related that percentage to the amount. Okay. What I realized today is my clients who have created wealth over a period of time, like in 2008, his portfolio was 20 crores. And that time when the market corrected 26%, the amount which was showing was around 4-5 crores less. Okay. But from there, that 20 crores has become 60 crores today. So on 60 crores, when he saw 15 to 16% correction, the amount was 12 crores. I think that 12 crores was not something which the clients were able to digest. I think what I realize is, along with the percentage now, I need to relate the amounts also, saying that these are the kind of variations that will happen in numbers. So that's the learning. So now I will be very specific about the journey of the percentage with amounts. Second learning that I had during SIPs. Okay. I have been doing SIPs for years together, and I have been successful in convincing clients to do long-term SIPs. What I realize is saying that once we sell an SIP and once we onboard a client for the SIP, I think as the SIP keeps on going, we are very comfortable. We don't communicate. What I realize now is every year when you send him a statement of account for, I think we need to build in saying that, yes, your SIP book has been built, but there could be volatility of 10%, 20%. You could see negative returns in the next 2 years. I think these are the numbers that I learned, saying that which I was not doing it. I will start doing it now very often. Every meeting I have to reassure and reinforce, saying that there could be corrections, there could be cyclical corrections of 15-20% in the journey of your wealth creation. It has happened twice. It could happen after 6-7 years, but we have to be very confident saying that those are times where we need to wait through and then come out. I think those are all the learnings, very hard learnings that I learn, and I will change my communication.
Good one. Now, Sriram had asked, how is Mumbai market, that retail and the institutional clients, how do they react? How is it? Is it different from the other markets? I think that would be the question.
I don't know about the other markets, but this is my experience. People who are HNIs, super HNIs, they have panicked a lot for the reason because their numbers are very high and they couldn't see this volatility going. So they want to preserve their capital. So as the preservation of capital happens, and people who have been in this journey for 20-25 years and they've seen this kind of a volatility, I think in the rich super HNI and HNI category, there is a little bit of uncertainty. They are scared. They don't even want to keep their money in the liquid funds or the overnight funds. They want to keep it in the bank for some time. So that's that experience that I have seen. But if you look at the middle income, the upper middle class and all, I think there the panic is much lesser than the HNIs and the super HNIs.
And Mr. Venkateshwaran had asked, Rupa, you're managing a huge AUM compared to the average individual IFAs. Now that you have moved to a platform, Sapient Wealth, would like to understand your perspective. What advantages you see in that platform? Does the future is more through this, like this integrated platforms? Is the future there? Would like to understand.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And I think what learnings that I had is, as you grow bigger, correct, what happens is, and the market becomes very dynamic, which is what is today. Okay. I think the dynamism of the market today is saying that there's too many things which are happening in the debt funds, in the equity funds, because the size of the market is increasing. The size of the market when I started in 2003, 2008, or a few years back, it was quite focused, and there were not many kind of, like, you had simple products like a gilt fund and income fund. Now you have a credit rating, credit risk fund, and then you have a AAA rated, AA rated, long short. So there are so many complex products that are there, saying that as an individual, for me to analyze that what's happening, it become very difficult, was getting very difficult. And I think what happens is, if you have a platform and you have your research, I think the most important learning that all of us need to have is, you need a research platform who comes and does that research on the underlying portfolio, on the debt and equity, to understand, saying that what are all the nuances which are there. I think as an individual, I don't think it would have been impossible to do. Secondly, technology which the clients want. If you need to think big and you have to expand, the most important thing as IFAs is technology, communication, research, correct, understanding products, because time is less and the kind of clients want is much faster, and there is huge competition which is building in across. So I think it is very essential that, for me, the biggest thing that I looked at is, you have 5 minds working together. 5 minds work differently. Some are good in debt, some are good in equities, some are good in technology, some are very good in operations. So what happens is, a mix of 5-6 minds make you think big. It gives you a platform for us to grow big, so that we all can specialize in our own field, and then that organization, as an organization, we can bring in a lot of value for our investors and value for us too. So I hope I've been able to answer that question.
Your audio is out.
There is one more, there is one more question from Mr. Karthik Kannan. Just a continuation of this answer, what you had answered. What should be the single biggest criteria while collaborating with the fellow MFDs?
The first thing I believe is the trust. You need to have trust. Okay. The second thing is about your like-mindedness, your wavelength with that person, saying that does it sync or not? What are the strengths and weaknesses that you have, and what the other person has? Does it gel and match? So I think these are the few things that it is very essential for us to know. But the first important is to know, for me, was the trust, that we all are together, we are good people, and we are always good, and we will do good.
Another question from Karthik Tyagarajan. He says, almost most of the AMCs are now promoting the arbitration balanced advantage funds. What is your view on this? Will equity funds outperform other asset classes post-COVID? These are the 2 questions.
I don't know what will happen in short term or long term, or short term. Okay. But I don't get carried away by these kind of funds of balance advantage or anything. Most important thing what I stick to is an asset allocation with the clients, with equities, debt, gold, fixed deposits. I look at all those asset classes and say that what is the client wants, and how do I have to build this portfolio in the next 15 to 20 years? Because I am not taking a tactical call today, and I don't want to what are we doing by saying that is balance advantage fund good, or if something, we are actually going and promising our clients saying that we are the smartest and I'm going to give you very high returns. I don't think that's what we need to promise. What we need to promise is saying that I will give you consistency into the returns and see that consistently your portfolio grows up. And I would request everyone, I personally believe saying that debt is not for alpha, debt is for beta, and equity is for creating alpha. I think what we are doing is sometimes we get carried away and we want to show and say that even in debt, we want to show alpha to our clients. I think that's where sometimes we make, because the moment you start giving alpha in debt, what you're doing is you're actually risking the client's portfolio, because the underlying portfolio is going to be risky if alpha is to be generated in debt. So most important thing that we all need to know is saying that what is that we want to convey to our clients. We are constructing a portfolio today which is of debt, equity and everything, so that your portfolio grows at a reasonable level with the 50% debt equity of 10 to 11%. I think that's the only thing that we need to convey. Between that, analyze which funds look good, but it is not something like, I wouldn't say that balance advantage fund is extremely good or something else. I would rather do my own analysis and give a debt and equity.
Good. That is a good lesson we learned this lockdown. Debt is for not for the alpha, that we learned now. Why? There is a question from Vijay Lakshmi Tallam. Madam, how do you suggest funds to investors based on the fund house or the performance?
So I don't choose, the first criteria for me is the fund house, the philosophy of the fund house. What is the strength of the fund house? I choose funds by the strength of the fund manager and say that how long he has been into this business, how long he has been there in the industry, what is his strength, is he good in large cap, is he good in mid cap, what is his history, what is his story. I think these are most important thing for me to understand, saying that is he good, is he strong in mid cap, is he strong in large cap, fund house. I think these are the few criteria which I look at when I talk about, when I identify funds. It's not on returns at all, because returns happen after 10-15 years, but what's important is the philosophy, the belief, the strength of that fund manager about what he has done in the journey of last 15-20 years.
Okay. The next question is, while you suggest for what fund would you suggest for the retired clients? They need regular income. This is from Kalla Manohar.
Yeah. So my first thing when I sit with a senior citizen client is very clear. What is that his monthly income that he wants out of that particular every month, okay, to run his house, to be comfortable, to see that his house runs. That much money, or that money, I do a 5% on the upper side, that money I put it in fixed deposit, irrespective of the fact that in whatever tax bracket he is, irrespective of what, I don't risk that client's money. I compulsorily put that in fixed deposits and give him that monthly income. Whatever is left is something which I look at investing in equities and debt so that he sustains. I don't risk the client's portfolio at all. There are clients sometimes who come to me and I have to put all the 100 rupees into fixed deposits, and I put all the 100 rupees in the fixed deposits, and I won't give him any mutual funds at all. Because what's important learning that we need to understand is the comfort of this client, that at times when the markets are volatile, at that age of retirement, you can't palpitate him, you can't risk his money, you can't risk his patience, and you can't bring palpitation to him. I think this is a journey. Like, look at it in this COVID kind of situation, when your portfolios are down 10%, 20%, and he needs income. I think a lot of mutual funds are not even giving regular income. So what is important is saying that this is a lesson. Please stick to fixed deposits. There are good company fixed deposits and bank fixed deposit. Give them. that is the most important safety that we need to bring in for them.
And Mr. Narendra Kumar had asked, may I know your AUM SIP book size?
So my SIP book size would be around something around 1.8 crores to 2 crores per month.
Okay. Next is, how do you convince or handhold those clients who are invested in the few debt schemes closed down by Franklin Templeton? Mr. Srini had asked.
Yeah. So these, it's very unfortunate and very shocking that we had to see that the funds have to close down. I can only tell you saying that my experience has been good and bad. I have very few clients. In fact, I don't have money in credit risk funds or ultra short term or anything. I just have in 2 funds, which was in income opportunities and dynamic accrual fund, which was very old, and I waited saying that it has completed 2 years, let me wait for 1 year more, and unfortunately it closed. I've been very frank with the clients and saying that, sir, this was very unfortunate, unprecedented, it has happened. But one thing I always assure them, saying that we are sure, saying that he is going to get back the money. Maybe in the next 9 months to 18 months, the AMC has shut down to the only reason because he is going to get back this money. And it's very unfortunate and unprecedented. And I think you have to go and accept the fact, saying that it has never happened in the history of India, where it's happened abroad in 1 or 2 countries, but it's never happened in India. But unfortunately, it's happened. And it's not that the clients are not going to get the money. They will get the money. Maybe it could be 90 rupees, 95 rupees, 100 rupees, we don't know. But he is going to get back the money in the next maybe 6 months to 18 months.
And Mr. Kalpesh Desai, how do you select your equity share and which companies you are bullish post-COVID?
I don't do any sectoral calls at all. Okay, so what I have done is I have gone and checked all the multi-cap fund managers' portfolio at this point of time. Multi-caps, large caps, and everything, and mid-cap portfolios. If you go and have a look at all those portfolios, the portfolios have been restructured so well. Most of the fund houses have pharma. Most of the fund houses have FMCG. Most of the fund houses have manufacturing. I think the portfolios are completely different to what it was around maybe 2-3 months back. So if you look at those portfolios, you can actually add rather than just giving sectoral calls, you know.
Okay. Next is, how, with regard to FD, what are the FD companies you would suggest? Mr. K. Radhakrishnan.
Well, Mr. Radhakrishnan, I do HDFC Limited fixed deposits. I've been doing Shriram for a long number of time. All of you are from South, and I'm sure everyone knows Shriram Transport, and Mahindra and Bajaj. So these are solid, good companies, and I stick to them.
And again, a question for relating to Franklin Templeton from Mr. Ram Prabhu.
Yeah.
Still today, they have not announced when they will refund the money, even the ultra short. Has FIFA taken some steps for this, and what is your view about this?
So yes, from FIFA, we have written to the Finance Ministry, Reserve Bank of India, and SEBI, and said that there should be an SVB vehicle where all these bonds can be taken over and the investors can be paid as fast as possible. We have not yet got any reply from them, but I'm sure there's something which is worked on. There's some relief which is given in this last 2 days of announcement. Second important thing is, there is a circular which has been circulated just half an hour before by Templeton. Okay, there is a vote that all your investors have to do. Once that voting is over, only then the bonds can be sold and then the monies can be reimbursed. I think there is a circular which has been done. There is a note by Sanjay Sapre which is being sent to all the members. If you don't have, I can send it to Shobha or Babu and then they can circulate it with you.
Yeah.
And the communication and clean is written there, sir.
Yeah. Again from Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Tallam, what is your opinion on mutual fund scheme portability from one fund house to another, like the mobile portability and the insurance portability?
I don't believe I would like to do any of those kind of things of portability. Okay, because I don't churn portfolios very fast. So for me, the belief is saying that I stick to the fund houses for 10 years, 15 years. I don't change much of the portfolios for the reason because each fund has a cyclical kind of a performance, because some are value funds, some are growth oriented, some are momentum schemes. So what happens is each of them have cycles, and when I identify them, so when you're talking about this portability, yes, it will be helpful to a lot of people in the rural area, in the rural areas where this should be offered, but I doubt in the mutual fund industry at this point of time that is an priority to do that, because everybody has to agree, the entire 44 AMCs have to agree to that. So difficult.
Okay. And Mr. Ravi Patmanabhan, what should IFAs who just started in this business do to scale up in the situation?
Oh, they are the most they are in the best spot at this point of time, for the reason because what they have to just do is saying that they have to focus on the process about what they want to do. They need to know, saying that which segmentation they want, which client segment they want, they should be there to set up their practice for the next 10-15 years. They have to approach as many clients as possible, do IAPs, talk to them. So I'll give you an example, okay? I just wanted to share with you. My husband shops at where he buys his suits and everything. And that shop is Kanali. So I know the boys there. And one of the boys called me up and said that, ma'am, we are in a lockdown situation, and can you do, I have 200 employees in all over India. Can you do a Zoom call for us on financial literacy and financial savings? Because now after this, we have learned then saying that we need to save. So I'm going to do a call on Sunday to all those 200 employees. Okay. What happens? What is this? It's an opportunity. In Chennai, you have so many stores. You have Nalli's, you have Sharavana Bhavan. You have so many stores. Why don't you contact all of them and just do a financial literacy on Zoom? Teach them. Tell them how important is saving, saying that if you lose your job, if this kind of a pandemic happens in the future, if any of the crisis happen, how important is savings? And that is what you're going to help. I think these are times, and Chennai is having so many people around and so many organizations. All of you should connect, and I'm sure one of you are connected, and start doing Zoom calls with them. Correct. So I think for all the guys who are new, all the guys who are there recently come in, I said, this is a huge, huge opportunity. You don't have any backlog. You're going to start with a fresh start. There's so much of data available on SIPs, on investments, on long-term wealth, on equities, on debt. I think for you, it is you guys can bounce back from here like a spring.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful idea. Good. The other one question, I'll club two questions. There are lots of questions. Sure. See, one is from Mr. Balamurugan. He had asked, what websites do you use for research? And the other one, I thought it was related. Other one from Ms. G. Sarish. How do you maintain client data management? Both.
Okay. So, till around a year and a half back, Excel sheet was the only thing which I used to maintain for all my clients. I had Excel sheets, and all my investments of all my clients were in Excel sheet. 1 year back, I moved to InvestWell, and all the data was in InvestWell. Now it is all gone to Sapient, as we are a merged entity. So even there, they have a software which is there, and those software is available on the phone, on your iPad, everywhere. So it is all maintained at the back end, and that's the technology that I follow at this point of time. What was the second question, Shobna?
One was how do you maintain client management?
Okay, research.
Address that.
Right? Research.
Yeah.
So
research.
on research,
What websites do you use for your research?
So I used to do my own research on my own, and I had a friend of mine who is again an IFA. Both of us tied up and we bought ICRA and ICRA software and which is other software, Morningstar software. We bought all of that and we used to do research together and analyze the investment. For me, the biggest place where I was analyzing everything was Amphi website, because that was the only thing available in 2004, 2005, 6. Before that, there was nothing available. I used to maintain everything in Excel sheet. So I do my own research, meeting fund managers, tracking funds, how they have done, how their portfolios have done. So I do it myself most of the time.
It's almost 4. I think
Yeah.
we'll share Ms. Roopa's number and all of them can put out, because there are a lot of questions flowing in.
So you are open. My phone number is available. You can write to me. You can call me at any point of time.
And with your permission, I will just share it to the...
Sure.
Rupa,
I just have a last thing that I want to share, on the opportunities. I just want to say that we have a huge opportunity to grow from here. We can actually multiply from here 5 times in the next 10 years if you are focused. I think the biggest battle that we are fighting is not one of the knowledge versus ignorance, but the faith versus fear. I think the fear that we have is something which we should bring it out. We need to operate not primarily from the store of knowledge, but from our belief system, saying that we are here to do good. And when we do good, there are customers who will come to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one last question from me, Roopa.
Yeah.
On a very good note to end, you have made the gender distinction that is meaningless now because you are so successful. For the women IFAs, the message, what is your message for the women IFAs?
Shobna, I think women are the best finance managers. Okay, that's what I believe. And I think my mother, my grandmother, all were the best financial managers. I think in this type of crisis, I am sure that the women in the house who have kept money safe would be the one who come and save the homes. Women, be fearless. Sky is the limit. Don't term yourself saying that I am a woman managing home, managing office. It is your mindset that you need to change. You are capable. You are doing it at home. You are doing it. Your mother has done. You have done. You are managing a home. That itself is a financial management tool that you are doing it at home. Be confident. You have an empathy. As a woman, you have the highest empathy that you bring into any business or communication. I think that's the most important thing in our business. And for women IFAs, please don't be scared of competition. We are the best. Believe in yourself and say that you are the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And just the last word, every
Babu,
crisis,
unmute,
there is an
Babu.
opportunity. Every crisis, there is a huge opportunity. So look at this crisis as an opportunity for us to grow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Be safe. Take care.
Roopa, you need to stay on for a few minutes.
Sure.
So you've spoken so much, you need to hear a little bit from us as well. Yeah.
Sure.
So, friends, on all our behalf, I'd like to take a few minutes to thank Roopa for sparing time to speak to us. Not only has the message been very, very clear that we all need to look at COVID not as a negative, but more as an opportunity for us to kind of reframe our whole mind and our whole thoughts about how this business needs to run. And hopefully, the takeaway for me is that can we reimagine our future to be a 5x or a 10x of where we are today in the next 3 years or 5 years? Can we really put that as our thought process as we come to the end of this COVID break, so that we can go out there and look for business? And everything starts with the mind. And from Roopa, what I have understood is that if you have positive energy and you have the passion to go help people, and that's your mission in life, then sky is the limit to what you can grow in this business. And that's the takeaway message that Roopa has given. But I want to also take a minute here to recognize the organization which Roopa is part of, which is called FIFA. Dhruv and Roopa have been part of FIFA, and I want to make a special mention here. Thanks, Srini, for reminding me. You know, friends, very few investment advisory organizations have taken the pains to take their voice to be heard. Whether it was our TER cuts, to whether it was when the industry made noise about our cost structure being high, to the Franklin episode, FIFA has been at the forefront of making sure that our voice is heard with SEBI, the finance ministry, and AMFI, as the case may be. And I think we all we all owe a great depth of gratitude to both Roopa, Dhruv, and FIFA, the entire team, for that effort as well. It's, you know, like from what she has been saying, she's passionate about helping people, but that passion is also about helping her own community of financial advisors. And all of us, Roopa, on behalf of all of us here, we would like to thank you also, and please communicate that thank you to Dhruv and the entire team at FIFA, who have been doing enormous work to communicate our thoughts and feelings to the regulators and the finance ministry. Thank you so much. Please continue your good work. We're all there to support you in that as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Babu. Thank you so much, Shobna. Thank you, Srini. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm really humbled. Thank you.
Thanks a ton. Thanks a ton. Friends, as we come to the end of this webinar series, I think it's I would like to take time to thank you all for being part of this 11 series. We will come back to you. I'm sure we will come back to you. This series ends today. And as and when we see opportunities to connect with you with other webinars and going forward, we will certainly come back to you, and hopefully you've benefited out of this. Please keep communicating with us at ifagalaxy@gmail.com. That's our mail ID. So please do.
Roopa's number.
Roopa, can you tell us your email ID? I can type it out here.
It's CALL. ROOPA.
Yeah.
.venkat, VENKAT.
Yeah.
@gmail.com.
At Gmail. So call Gmail. There is no spacing between call Roopa, right?
Call Roopa is one word. Call Roopa.venkat@gmail.com.
Sure. Got it. So done. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can give my mobile number too. It's 982188.
1 second. 982188.
5502.
5502.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye.